Hi, I'm Katie, and I want to share a life-changing experience with you. A few years ago, I was constantly stressed, overthinking everything, and always worried about the future or stuck in the past. Then, I came across Stoicism, a philosophy that, at first, seemed too abstract and complicated. But once I dove deeper, I realized how practical and life-changing it could be. Here are the 12 Stoic principles I've learned and applied to my life. Step by step, they've transformed me into a calmer, stronger, and happier person. Let's dive in. I used to stress about traffic all the time. One morning I was late for an important meeting, and I remember gripping the steering wheel, feeling completely out of control. Then it hit me, I can't change the traffic, but I can control how I respond. Instead of honking or panicking, I turned on my favorite podcast and made the most of the time. It's such a simple shift, but it made all the difference. I was at my niece's birthday party last month, and I caught myself scrolling through emails, worrying about work deadlines. Then I looked up and saw her blowing out her candles, smiling ear to ear. I thought, Katie, what are you doing? You'll never get this moment back, so I put my phone away and just soaked in the laughter and joy around me. That's when I realized life is too short to be anywhere but present. A few weeks ago, a coworker snapped at me during a meeting. My first instinct was to fire back, but I paused and took a deep breath. I thought, this isn't about me, maybe they're having a tough day later. I found out they were dealing with some personal issues. That moment reminded me how powerful it is to control your emotions rather than letting them control you. When I was passed over for a promotion I really wanted, I was crushed. But instead of wallowing in disappointment, I asked my manager for feedback. She pointed out areas I could improve, so I took some extra training and worked harder on those skills. 6 months later, I got the promotion. That setback turned out to be one of the best things that ever happened to me. This might sound morbid, but last year I lost a close friend. It was a wake-up call for me. I started asking myself, if today were my last day, would I be proud of how I lived? It's not about being perfect, it's about making sure I spend my time on what truly matters, like calling my mom more often or saying I love you to the people I care about. I used to have a closet packed with clothes, but I'd still feel like I had nothing to wear. One weekend, I decided to donate everything I hadn't worn in the last year. Now, my wardrobe is smaller, but I actually feel freer. It's funny, letting go of stuff doesn't take anything away. It gives you space to breathe. There was a time when I was going through a really tough breakup. I thought the sadness would never end. But slowly, day by day, things got better. One morning, I woke up and realized I wasn't sad anymore. That's when I learned no feeling, good or bad, lasts forever. Life is always moving forward. I once tried to assemble a bookshelf without reading the instructions. It was a disaster, screws everywhere, pieces upside down. Eventually, I gave in and looked at the manual. It made me laugh because it was such a small thing, but it reminded me that learning even from the simplest mistakes always makes life easier. A few months ago, I noticed an elderly neighbor struggling to carry her groceries. I helped her, and she was so grateful. It took me 5 minutes, but it made her day, and honestly, it made mine too. Little acts of kindness can have such a big impact, more than we realize. One time, I completely forgot to send an important email at work. When I realized, I panicked and thought, this is it. They'll think I'm incompetent, but then I owned up to it, apologized, and fixed the issue. No one was upset, and I realized it's okay to mess up. The important part is learning and moving forward. I used to be terrified of swimming. But during a vacation with friends, I decided to give it a shot. I signed up for a beginner's lesson and stuck with it, even though I was scared. By the end of the trip, I was floating on my back, staring at the sky. That moment taught me that fear isn't a wall, it's a door waiting to be opened. Every night before bed, I write down 3 things I'm grateful for. The other day, it was something as small as my morning coffee, a good book, and a kind message from a friend. It's amazing how this little habit helps me focus on what's good in my life instead of what's missing. Gratitude really is a superpower. So there you have it, the 12 Stoic principles that have transformed my life. At first, they might seem daunting, but if you start with one or two and build from there, you'll see how much easier and more fulfilling life can become. Give it a try, who knows? These principles might just be the change you've been looking for.